Tonight on Reporting Scotland, 3 months after the death of Scottish child killer Robert Black, new evidence linking him to the murder of this Devon schoolgirl is sent to prosecutors. The Holyrood election campaign focuses on corruption allegations made against a Chinese business seeking to invest in Scotland.
Across the face, off the post!
After just missing out on the title at the weekend, can Rangers win tonight and return to the top flight for the first time in 4 years? Scottish dog owners rush to have their animals microchipped as the deadline for a change in the law approaches. And 60 years after dropping out of art school, one of Scotland's best-known actors returns to his first love. Good evening. Police in Devon have handed a file of evidence linking the Scottish serial killer Robert Black to the murder of a 13-year-old girl in 1978. Jeanette Tate disappeared while doing her paper round. Officers say they had been just weeks away from charging Black, who had been convicted of 4 other child murders when he died in January. Aileen Clark reports.
Robert Black. His image haunted parents throughout the country. Convicted in 1994 of abducting and killing 3 little girls, given 10 life sentences. In 1982, he murdered Susan Maxwell, 11 years old, from Cornhill-on-Tweed in the Borders. She was on her way home from school. The following year, he murdered Caroline Hogg, just 5 years old, abducting her from a fun fair near her home in Portobello. And in 1986, he targeted 10-year-old Sarah Harper, who was running an errand for her gran in Morley, near Leeds. But before then, in Ballinderry, County Antrim, he'd abducted and killed 9-year-old Jennifer Cardy, though that conviction didn't come till 2011. It was Black's job as a UK-wide delivery driver which had given him the scope to target little girls across the country. In this police interview, he chillingly discusses what was termed as fantasies.
Well, it was just a narrow road. It was going downhill. I'd be driving along, I'd see a young girl, I'd get out and talk to her and try to persuade her to get into the van.
Though Black died in prison earlier this year, police hope prosecutors will now make a public statement saying though they decided against prosecution in the past, this time they would have charged Black with Jeanette's murder.
I think it is some small comfort and it's definitely worth doing, but at the end of the day, Jeanette is missing, presumed dead, and she will never come back. So it is only some limited comfort.
It's understood evidence police have now passed to prosecutors includes new witnesses with information on how Black behaved at the time Jeanette went missing. Jeanette Tate's father has told the BBC it's a shame it hadn't happened earlier, so Black would have died, knowing he was going to be put on trial for Jeanette's murder. Aileen Clark, Reporting Scotland.
The owner of a Chinese company that's seeking to invest in Scotland has been linked to corruption. Norway's pension fund was advised to blacklist the China Railway Group, a subsidiary of which signed an understanding with the Scottish Government that could lead to billions of pounds worth of Chinese investment here. Our political correspondent Glenn Campbell has the story.
The pandas at Edinburgh Zoo are a symbol of the increasingly close ties between China and the UK. But this relationship is also about money. The Chancellor, George Osborne, has signed a deal to secure billions of pounds of Chinese investment in new nuclear power plants in England. And China's got money to spend in Scotland too. That's why the First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, signed a Memorandum of Understanding on the 21st of March with 2 Chinese firms, Sinophoton and China Railway No. 3 Engineering Group, which could lead to £10 billion worth of infrastructure investment. Now it's emerged that China Railway No. 3's parent company, China Railway Group, has been linked with bribery and corruption by the Ethics Council that advises Norway's pension fund. In 2014, it recommended that China Railway Group be blacklisted and warned of an unacceptable future risk of corruption.
You don't want me to give advice? I could give advice.
At a debt helpline in Glasgow, the Liberal Democrat leader advised SNP ministers to choose investment partners with great care.
I'm not happy for China to invest in Scottish infrastructure on the wrong terms. I don't think that's the right thing to do. We should be having the highest possible standards on human rights, on business practices. That's what I think people in Scotland would expect from a Scottish government, but we don't seem to be getting that from the SNP.
Campaigning on local tax reform in Glasgow, Labour questioned why potential Chinese investment was kept under wraps by the First Minister until details emerged in China.
Nicola Sturgeon and the SNP government didn't want us to know they'd signed a £10 billion deal with China for potential investment in Scottish public services. Now we need to know the detail of this deal, we need to know what she signed up to.
Taking the election race to the Knockhill circuit, the Conservative leader remained suspicious.
The only reason we know about this China deal is because it ended up on the private website of a private company in China. Now, that's not the way the Scottish Government is supposed to work.
I can see what you mean about that.
Trying her hand at jewellery making in Orkney, the First Minister stressed that Chinese infrastructure talks are still at an early stage.
There is no agreement to invest, there is no actual investments agreed. This is about exploring opportunities, and if there are any specific proposals for investment, then full due diligence will be done.
Chinese communist leaders are cracking down on corruption, but tonight questions still surround one of the state-owned enterprises that's seeking to fly the flag for China in Scotland.
Voters in Scotland give top billing to NHS spending and free university tuition. Well, that's according to a poll for BBC Scotland. For our survey, Ipsos Mori interviewed 1,002 people across Scotland between the 18th and 29th of March. Respondents were asked to rank a range of policies from 1 up to 10, generating an average score, where our political editor, Brian Taylor, has been tallying up. Brian.
Jackie, thanks very much indeed. To govern, it's said, is to choose. So our pollsters reminded people that politicians couldn't give them everything they wanted right away. So what do folk really, really want? I'll tell you. Back to the Edinburgh Brewery, where I sought opinions. Most popular policy was a guarantee that NHS spending would be increased by at least the same rate as in England. That rated 8.3 out of 10. But it seems folk are less keen on the Conservative plan to bring back prescription charges for those who can afford to pay. That rated 5.3.
Spending on the NHS is incredibly important, especially we see things like increased waiting times. So I think it's fundamental to try and get those sort of figures down. So I think it should be prioritised.
We keep throwing money at it year after year after year and nothing seems to be improving. So instead of looking at how much more we can give it, why don't we look at what we're already giving it and where we're spending it?
Second most popular overall was the idea that students from Scotland can attend Scottish universities for free. An SNP initiative now backed by Labour and Lib Dems that rated 8.1. Respectable backing too for the notion of more money for schools with a high proportion of pupils from poorer backgrounds. That rated 6.7. Then there's fracking, or unconventional drilling for shale gas. Should it be banned? Most say yes, many say no. Net score for a ban, 6.2.
It's an extension of our dependence on fossil fuels, which we seem to be continually trying to play with this and eke every last ounce of fossil fuel out there that we possibly can.
We can't rely on certainly wind power as a reliable source of energy. So I think we can't discount fracking if we have a real concern about the ability to produce sufficient renewable energy.
Now, some views there, but right now fracking is on hold under a Scottish Government moratorium. In the same policy area, subsidies for new sources of energy, if they're less harmful to the environment, well, they rated 7.7. That's pretty popular. A Labour plan to give first-time home buyers an extra £3,000 if they've saved that amount. That rated 6.5. But there was apparently less support for scrapping the ban on songs at football matches that some might find offensive. That rated 4.9. It's the lowest in the poll, although by no means completely dismissed. And as ever, as ever, there's the Constitution. Should we hold another independence referendum if Britain votes to leave the European Union? Well, that rated 5.6. But here's the thing. Scotland remains polarised. 1/3 in our survey think it's a great idea and give it top billing. 1/3 give it the very lowest possible score. The final third, Jackie, they're somewhere in the middle.
Thank you, Ryan. Well, let's return to the campaign trail, where the Conservatives are facing claims that their plans for graduates to pay towards their education don't add up. Let's cross to our political correspondent, Ben Campbell, who is at Glasgow University for us tonight. Glenn.
The Conservatives want graduates to make a contribution towards the cost of their tuition, worth about £1,500 for every year of study, and they say this would kick in when a graduate is earning at least £20,000 a year. But the SNP, who, like Labour and the Liberal Democrats, want to keep tuition free, have been crunching the Tories' numbers, and they say they don't add up. The Conservatives hope to raise about £100 million through this policy during the course of the next Scottish Parliament and use £60 million of that to invest in college education. But the SNP say because the payments wouldn't start to come in towards the end of that Parliament, they think it would raise next to nothing. The Tories' comeback is that they could start spending that revenue earlier by drawing it down from the student loan company, and for that money to be then repaid through the graduate contribution at a later stage.
Thank you very much, Glenn. And to the forthcoming EU referendum now, and Vote Leave has launched its campaign in Scotland. The group, which wants the UK to vote to exit the European Union, says that Holyrood will get more power over issues like fisheries and agriculture if Britain leaves. They also say that Scottish universities would be able to charge EU students tuition fees.
If we leave the EU, then all of the powers that are currently run by the European Union will automatically come to the Scottish Parliament. That's a default position. It's not a matter of opinion, it's a matter of legality. So things like fishing and agriculture, which are currently run from Brussels, will have to come to Holyrood, not to Westminster, because those are not reserved issues.
A woman and an 8-year-old boy have died after a crash involving a car and a lorry in Fife. The incident happened yesterday afternoon on the A92 north of the Red House roundabout in Kirkcaldy. The boy was declared dead shortly after the crash, while the woman, who was 36, died today at the town's Victoria Hospital. Another child, aged 9, suffered serious facial injuries. The driver of the lorry and a male passenger in the car weren't injured.
We have managed to trace some witnesses, however we would appeal for any person that was in the area at that time who might have seen the grey Ford Focus or the blue Iveco lorry to please contact us and give us the information that they have.
From tomorrow, all dogs in Scotland, England and Wales will have to be microchipped. Now take a look at this. These were the scenes in Stornoway earlier today as dog owners queued to get their dogs chipped before the law changes. The Scottish Government says it believes it'll be a huge step to reducing the number of abandoned dogs in our streets. Enna Miller reports.
If Rufus ever gets lost, it'll be now easier for him to be found because he's being fitted with a microchip. It contains a unique code when scanned brings up its owner's details from a national database.
Now I need to just double check that the chip is reading okay. Now it's in, and as you can see, this is basically the number that's now implanted inside Rufus, okay?
Charities like the Dogs Trust have been carrying out the service for free.
Just implant a small chip, which is about the size of a grain of rice, just in between the shoulder blades of the dog. We implant it in there just so that it is just like a little archway, so that basically it's got less chance of moving.
So far the schemes have been voluntary, but from tomorrow it will be compulsory.
It should theoretically reduce the number of stray dogs that are spending time in local authority kennels.
From April the 6th, owners who don't comply could be fined up to £500.
We've never actually lost Rufus, so to have him chipped and know that he will be found if he ever is lost, it's a good feeling.
We found a dog in our area and it was chipped, and it was a great idea because it got it back to its owner and stuff like that, so I think it's a great idea, yeah.
But Chip Me Not, a campaign group against the plan, say they're concerned about the complications caused by microchipping. It's hoped this scheme will force owners to be more responsible, so there'll be fewer scenes like this. Enna Miller, reporting Scotland. Well,
let's look at some other stories now from across the country. The Borders Railway is proving so popular that more car parking capacity is to be provided at certain stations. The car park at the terminus of the new line at Tweedbank is said to be constantly full as commuters use the line to travel to Edinburgh. Borders Council is planning to extend the park and ride facility in the next few months. This is the future of hospital accommodation in Dumfries and Galloway. It's a replica of one of the private ensuite rooms being provided at the new District General Hospital, currently under construction on the outskirts of Dumfries. The hospital will have 344 of them and no communal ward spaces at all, which some critics are unhappy about because of the lack of social contact. The Queen's official residence in Edinburgh is to get a £10 million makeover. Work will start next year on the renovation, which will see an upgrade to the grounds and forecourt, alongside some internal changes. The work is being funded by the Royal Collection Trust, which generates its income from admissions to official royal residences. A 103-year-old great-grandmother from Dundee has been crowned Curry Lover of the Year. Margaret Phillips lived in India for several years in the 1930s. She was unable to attend the Scottish Curry Awards, but will be celebrating by sharing a prawn madras with residents at the care home where she lives.
Where did your love of curry come from, Margaret?
Oh, I think from my grandparents.
From your grandparents? Yeah. Did they like curry as well?
They liked curry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you at least you said they liked it.
Congratulations there. Now, sport, and David here.
Thank you very much, Jackie. Good evening. Well, it could be a big night for Rangers and their fans. 50,000 of them are heading to Ibrox in the hope of seeing their team win promotion to the Premiership. If they do, it'll signal the end of their 4 years in the lower leagues. More from our senior football reporter, Chris McLaughlin.
Yes, the last remaining tickets for this match have now gone. It is officially a sellout. They slipped up against Raith Rovers at the weekend, but very few expect anything other than a convincing win here at Ibrox this evening. It's a huge game for these fans. They have followed this club through the lower leagues of Scottish football. There, of course, due to mismanagement, administration led to liquidation. We had courtroom battles, boardroom battles, and the stability that they have craved off the field has now come. And more importantly, they have a team on the field that is playing well and is winning.
It's a triumph against adversity for Rangers and their supporters. They were very loyal. They stayed with them. They transfused the whole of the lower echelons of Scottish football by following them around the country to places they never thought they would ever see.
So it is indeed party time this evening if they get a win. They won't get the trophy though, that will come in 3 weeks' time in their last home game here. That's a match against Alloa. Attention after that will turn to Rangers back in Scottish football's top flight. The big questions: can they compete with Celtic? Will the manager Mark Warburton get the money he's looking for in the summer to buy the players he needs? All questions for another day. Today it's about promotion if they beat Dumbarton here at Ibrox.
Meanwhile, in the Premiership, Celtic could take another step towards retaining their title. A win for them at Dundee would lift them 7 points clear of Aberdeen at the top. But the home side, who beat Ross County by 5-2 a few days ago, also have plenty to play for. They're chasing a top 6 finish.
We can show that we're a good team. We've proved that in the past. We went to Parkhead and played well, but we'll have to have that high level of performance again.
It's about entertainment, winning and entertaining. So fans love to see goals, they love to see wingers running with the ball, creating chances. So the target's always got to be to win, but to try and win in style.
Yes, there are important matches at both ends of the Premiership and in the Championship this evening, so you can follow all tonight's action on BBC Radio Scotland 810 medium wave, online and on digital. However, tonight's Premiership match between Inverness and Hearts is postponed because of the stomach bug laying Hearts playing staff low. But they're also due to play second place Aberdeen on Friday night. And after his team's 3-0 win over Hamilton on Sunday, the Dons manager is hoping Hearts won't need to ask for another postponement.
I'm encouraged by what's coming out of Hearts, where they said that even yesterday they're confident that the game will go ahead on Friday. So our preparation's the same, so we're looking forward to the game. I think it's a very important game, as you understand, as every game is at the minute. So we're hoping to try and build on the confidence from Sunday's result.
Now, a plea from Falkirk to change the fixtures on the last day of the regular championship season has been rejected by the league. Falkirk were upset that matches were moved from Saturday, April the 30th to Sunday, May the 1st, after one game was chosen for a live broadcast. The Inverness golfer Russell Knox will make his US Masters debut at tea time on Thursday. He'll take to the famous Augusta National Course just after 5:30 UK time. Knox playing with America's Smiley Kaufman and New Zealand's Danny Lee. Scotland's 1988 winner Sandy Lyle tees off just before 1 o'clock. And after 3 successive defeats at the World Curling Championship in Switzerland, there's been more pain for Scotland's men this afternoon. Tom Brewster's Rink beaten 5-4 by the hosts. They're now in action against the USA, having fallen to 9th place in the overall standings. That's all from me, Jackie. Back to you.
Thank you very much, David. Now, he's one of Scotland's best-known actors who dropped out of art school as a teenager to pursue a career in acting. But now, at the age of 86, John Kearney has returned to his first love and added artist to his list of credits. Our arts correspondent, Pauline McLean, went to meet him.
Progress, sir. Development. That's the kind of romance to fire young imaginations.
From this man, Craig, to Dr. Finlay's casebook. John Kearney has played many roles in an acting career which spanned 6 decades. But it's art, not acting, which he's turned his attention to now, taking him back to his days as a schoolboy in Glasgow.
My drawing experience was in wartime on the school blackboard, drawing Spitfires and Hurricanes for the boys and pictures of film stars or supposed film, Shirley Temple and people for the girl on the blackboard while the girls knitted balaclavas for the troops.
Despite a gift for art which won him a place at Glasgow School of Art, John Kearney dropped out in 1950 to take up a place at the newly opened Royal Scottish Academy of Music and Drama.
So art was left behind, and I went along to the art school to explain to them why I was a dilatory student, because I wasn't really interested in it. He well understood. He said, "You'll be back. You'll be back."
And 60 years later, he is back, painting full-time. Portraits, landscapes, religious paintings, some commissioned, others simply inspired by what he sees around him.
I hesitate to call it art. I'm colouring in the visions that I see. Is in fact related to drama in that I'm playing. I'm playing. And how lovely as an octogenarian to play and get paid for it.
Pauline McLean, reporting Scotland.
Never an octogenarian, John Kearney. Well, now let's find out what's happening in Scotland 2016 this evening, and it's over to Shelley.
Well, preparations are almost complete here at Pacific Quay in Glasgow, where an audience of voters will get their chance to question politicians on their tax plans ahead of May's election. So please join us if you can tonight at 10:30 on BBC Two Scotland.
Weather now, what can we expect, Cosser?
Jackie, it's been a lovely end to the day for many of us, hasn't it? It's been lovely out there, especially across more western parts, to end the day after what's been quite a cloudy and damp morning. Take a look at this picture from one of our weather watchers here, the Rins of Galloway. It does look rather tropical indeed. And as we head through this evening, clear spells, mainly dry at first. There will be some rain to come as we head through the night. This hook of cloud here, that will bring some rain, but behind it, drawing in much colder air coming in from the west as we head through the night and for tomorrow. But back to this evening, some clear spells, a few showers still remaining, mainly further towards the east. It will be quite cool, but then this weather front pushes from west to east, some heavy persistent rain from more western areas and strengthening winds, and temperatures dipping to around 3 to 4 degrees for most of us, but some spots could dip down to around freezing for some sheltered glens. And it means for tomorrow a rather wet start to the day, that cloud and that rain really pushing into more northeastern parts of the country. Behind it, cooler air, scattered heavy showers and some brighter spells. So for tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock, 1 or 2 heavy showers with the risk of some hail and some thunder, and these showers could be heavy and wintry up over the hills. Some brighter spells, especially for the borders, across the central belt, some stronger winds for the west coast, and that cloud and rather damp weather continues across more northern parts of Aberdeenshire, Caithness and Sutherland. Shetland will see some brighter spells as we head through the day. Now, as we head through tomorrow evening, well, we draw in air coming in from the north, so much cooler air in store by the time we reach Thursday morning. And Thursday looks to be a mixture of sunshine and scattered showers once again. It definitely looks drier and brighter across the more southern parts of the country for the morning, and the showers mainly confined to more northern parts. And again, they could be wintry up over the hills, and temperature-wise around 9 to 10 degrees, but in any brightness in the sunshine, maybe up to 12 Celsius. And then Friday looks rather cloudy, I'm afraid. Some outbreaks of showery rain, especially later in the day as another weather system pushes in from the west, and with it some strengthening winds. And temperature-wise, well, around 9 to 10 Celsius, but feeling cooler in any showers. And that's your forecast, Jackie.
Thanks very much, Cosser. Now, a reminder of tonight's main news. Police in Devon have handed a file of evidence to prosecutors linking the Scottish serial killer Robert Black to the murder of a 13-year-old girl in 1978. Jeanette Tate disappeared while doing her paper round. Officers say they had been weeks away from charging Black, who had been convicted of 4 other child murders when he died in January. Iceland's Prime Minister has been forced to resign after documents leaked from a Panamanian law firm appeared to reveal he and his wife concealed millions of dollars worth of investments in an offshore company. He's the first major casualty of the Panama Papers leaks, which have shed an embarrassing spotlight on the world of offshore finance. And that's Reporting Scotland. Our next update is after the 10 o'clock news, but from everyone on the team, enjoy the rest of your evening. Goodbye.